No live dancing tonight. We're just coming straight at you. Welcome to the Qualk Show and happy Saturday night. On tonight's show, we finish up our back to school specials. And we're going to finish up this one with a boom tonight. We are talking when, where, how, and if you should come out to your child's teacher. We have Stephanie and Hallie in the house, as well as several very special guests. First up, we have Lori Romero. Lori is a teacher in the public school system and just happens to be a lesbian as well. She's going to shed some light on this discussion from the teacher slash parenting slash gay point of view and try to tie those all together a little bit. I don't want to label you, Lori, if that's that's
the appropriate label.
Exactly. Along with the topic of teachers coming out to parents as well, because it works both ways, right? Us having to come out to our teachers' parents as well as people that are in that profession, it can be a little bit a bit of a sticky subject sometimes because of some of societal thinking, right? That we're still trying to make our way through. We're also thrilled to have Diane Ponus back on the show this evening. And she, of course, has brought her beautiful wife, Kristen, with her. Welcome to the show, everybody. And thank you for being here with us all tonight.
And don't forget to mention Amanda was on Lesbian Pride today.
Amanda was on Lesbian Pride. Shout out to Amanda. Is that, I guess it would be up there in the archive videos, right? If anybody wanted to check it out, Amanda?
Yep.
There you go. Boom. So our exclusive Talkie members are in for some fun tonight in the second half of the show that you can only get on our Talkie membership site. It's going down tonight. We've been smack talking this week. There's been a little bit going on between Diane and Kristen and myself and Nicole. Just setting it up a little bit. They're talking a big game. I'm not going to go any further than that. But it's going down in the second half. Steph and Adria, Diane and Kristen, and yours truly and my much better half, Nicole, play a game of the not so newlywed game. It's going to be a blast. You have to be a Talkie member to catch this. So Hallie, one more time for the people in the back, how do you become a Talkie member?
We have given you a written tutorial. We have video tutorials. We actually have 2 video tutorials. If you go to the Qualk Show on Facebook, they are all there. They're all videos. If you're an audio learner, there's one for you. If you're a visual learner, there's one for you. If you're a reader, there's one for you. We have covered, other than
coming to your house and pressing the buttons for you, we have tried to set this up as easily as we can. And I know that some of you are in my age group, which takes a really long time to get anything technological figured out. But even I have figured this out. So there is hope for everybody. Perfect.
Until this week, I saw Carol Rosher joined your group.
Right? Just being really supportive of my own project. So finally a member of our very own project. Perfect. You can reach us at thequalkshow.world, the Qualk Show on Facebook, the Qualk Show on Pinterest, the Qualk Show on Twitter, the Qualk Show on Instagram.
Basically, really important. Yes. Qualk Show on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube and the little subscribe button is still red, you're not subscribed. You need to click it to subscribe so we can make this an even bigger and better project. That's your responsibility.
I know a lot of you are watching and you just maybe don't get that helps us, but just hitting that tiny little red button super helps us. So let's get rolling with hot flashes. Joe Court, PhD. States, many gays and lesbians who socialized openly at gay bars are now in PTA meetings. Therefore, it is as if the parent must do preemptive coming out as a way of paving the road ahead for their children. To be honest, and paving the road for their children to be honest about his or her family. Do you think that it is important to come out to your child's teacher so that they don't feel there is anything to be ashamed of about their family? Let's start with you, Lori. You're a teacher.
Absolutely. I mean, from a parent's perspective, I know that we go to all of the meetings together. We've always gone together, and there was even an incident, and this is for a 4-year-old's classroom where a kid was telling my son, "Oh no, you have to have a mommy and a daddy. You can't have two mommies." And my son was just like, "Yeah, okay, well, I have a mommy and a mama, so
I don't know what to tell you.
yeah." So he was kind of setting this 4-year-old straight, and so the teacher was great. She had a book. I have to find the name of the book, but it was like a children's book for toddlers, and she read it to the class about how everyone's family is different, and it was wonderful. It was a great little educational moment for the 4-year-olds too. So I guess it is important for him to know that there's nothing to be embarrassed about with his family, and and then from a teacher's perspective, I appreciate that kind of honesty as well. But I get a little too. I mean, from my perspective, I teach English high school, and I've kind of always had the experience of that people should be sort of upfront about who they are, and I try to do the same thing, and it's always kind of worked out well for me. I don't know if I'm lucky or if it's where I live. I don't know.
Is there a difference when you're coming from a fostering standpoint, Diane and Kristen, or does it? Do you feel the same way about it, about being upfront with your family dynamic?
We say right at the beginning of school year, we make it quite clear to teachers that we don't know. We either email them, write them a letter, and tell them, this is what happens. They're from the foster system where they've been adopted, and we're mom and mommy. And
we're normally really open with the teachers.
All of them. We make it pretty clear pretty early, and because we don't want our child singled out doing Father's Day or anything with a father and a full family, or writing things that have mom and dad and this and that.
Like for Mother's Day, they do individual things for us, like because she's mom and I'm mommy.
I love it. And you find that the school system in general is good about this and helpful and treats you just the same as any other family?
Absolutely.
We have had no issues whatsoever. I mean, us being upfront and pretty stern about this, and this is what we want our children to be, are brought up with this at home, and we instill that at school as well, and they take us very seriously because of it.
Yeah.
They know we mean business because we're laying everything out, and this is our life, and this is our child's life, and we need that to be respected. Perfect.
What about you, Hallie? You've got a little one that's just getting into the school age. Did you have any fears going into that point of her life about having to start this process of it seemingly coming out everywhere you go?
I don't, but then I also don't live my life that way. I live my life as Hallie, who happens to be a lesbian, but I'm not like, hey, I'm here, I'm queer, because I'm passable, I mean, honestly. And so I just say, oh, I'm mama, this is mommy. My ex-wife and I go to all school events together. So I never make it a big deal, because to me it's not a big deal. I think a lot of times that helps if you just set the tone of, I'm mama, she's mommy, this is our life.
Deal with it?
Yeah, just deal with it. I've never had a bad experience, so I'm definitely blessed.
Yeah, definitely. From the other side of the coin, Catalyst.org has a story stating that across Europe, 47% of LGBT, that's what they named. I know it goes QPA to the power of 2 and all that, but LGBT is what they've stated. People felt they experienced discrimination or harassment in the workplace because of their sexual orientation. 47%. That is almost half of the community across Europe, according to this study, that has experienced workplace harassment. So from the other side of the coin, what would you do if you experienced workplace or school discrimination? And what avenues are there that are available for us to fight this?
Well, I can say, in our district and in New Jersey in general, it's very much, the workers are protected. We're protected very much. So if you had any issues with harassment or anything like that for any reason, but I mean, LGBT is, same thing. Yeah. Absolutely, they would protect you. And that's kind of the sense that I've had. Maybe in the past the second half of my career, maybe, it's definitely felt that way. I feel like if you reported something to someone, they would help you.
Yeah. How long have you been actively teaching, Lori?
14 years. So when I started teaching, I didn't necessarily feel that way. But in the second half of my career, I definitely...
An interesting follow-up question to me, which was, how much have you seen change over 14 years in the school system alone? Because I know when I was in high school, there was rumors that there was a couple lesbian teachers. I grew up in a small town. I graduated in 93. And
You old bitch.
If you thought someone was gay as a teacher, it was just a rumor. Nobody really knew or anything.
Or the PE teacher, let's be honest.
Yeah, and to be honest, back in the day in that small town, I think that the parents would have probably made an uproar if they knew, because it just wasn't as accepted. So what have you witnessed in terms of change?
Well, when I started teaching back in 2003, I was married to a man at that point, and I never could imagine even being out of the closet at all as a teacher. At that time, I couldn't imagine having kids as a gay woman. It just was a world that I didn't think existed. And I worked with Steph, and Steph's visibility, I have to say, seeing someone else who was out of the closet and living that, genuine kind of life, it was kind of mind-blowing for me.
And ironically, I was fired from that job for being gay.
I'm laughing at that, but I mean, that is ironic.
Times have changed. Times have changed. I really do believe times have changed for the better. I do believe if you were working in my district today, it's a non-issue today where I am. But it's been a long road to get there. I mean, it certainly wasn't like that 14 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. That's so interesting. I could talk to you forever about that, because I love talking to people about change and where we've come from. And all of us, I think, are in the age group. Hallie's, I think, maybe the youngest, but even in her time, where we've witnessed so much change, and especially in the last 10 years so quickly, thank God that it's finally happening. Jerry Mahoney says, I'm sure it happens more than I realize at the supermarket, at the park, at preschool. Just by acting like any other parents, my partner and I are inadvertently sparking countless conversations. We knew when having our kids, our job description, explaining our family to the world for the rest of our lives. Do we take on a life of coming out at the playground, at school, at the supermarket, in all of these places, even more when you have kids and people are identifying that you are a family unit? Hallie, you look like you have something to say.
This topic actually pisses me off a lot, because especially with being back in the dating world, every single person thinks, and there's no shame against it, but everybody thinks that I had my daughter with a man and now have come out and am a lesbian. I had my daughter with my ex-wife. I have to explain that almost every single time. And it is irritating that I continue to have to come out and have to say, no, I have references. I am a card-carrying lesbian. I had my daughter that way.
Yeah.
But I do explain it a lot of how I got pregnant. I'm an open book, so it's no problem for me, but it does get a little tiring.
I think coming out is very similar to people introducing themselves as like, this is dad and this is mom. Well, this is mom and this is mom. So, I mean, it depends on how personal you want to take it.
It's always a hard thing, though, because my wife and I are what would be considered more lipsticky. So everyone just thinks we're sisters. And it's like, and even the other day when we took my daughter to the hospital, I had anxiety about it, because I'm like, I know they're going to say which one is the mom, and they did. Or at least they alluded to, okay, and you are, and I was like, mama? Like,
yeah.
Do I look like I'm just here in the middle of the night for no reason? Like, but it's kind of annoying because I also think about it from the other perspective. When we had Sin on season 1, and actually we've touched on this with Amanda before, it's like when you look masculine, they just know. They don't even question it.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like, it's more annoying than anything, because every 5 seconds they just associate you as the sister, and I'm like, I've earned my stripes here. We're not sisters. We don't even look alike.
when Gabriel fell and like busted his head and he had to go to the emergency room, and this is in my tiny anti-gay, like very homophobic town.
Yeah.
The nurses were like, okay, who's mom? And I'm like, we both are. And they're like, okay, so what does he call you? I'm like, oh, mama and mommy. And they're like, okay. I was like, are you from here?
In Tennessee. Oh, it gives me such hope.
Yeah, it did.
Fair plant. No, for sure, and that's just all part and parcel of what we're talking about here tonight. So this is our final installment of our Qualk Show Back to School specials, and all of the problems and concerns that parents face when they have children in school apply to us as well as, and along with other issues that are specific to the LGBTQA to the power of two community. We are talking about those issues that pertain to us tonight. How and if do you come out to your child's teachers first up? And we kind of touched on this a little bit in the hot flashes, but you know, thinking about it, excuse me, and I agree with Amanda and Hallie, is I just am who I am. Like, I'm going to walk in there and they're probably going to know that I'm a big dyke, and that's okay with me. And then my daughter's going to call me mama, and anybody who has anything to say about it, I mean, I don't know. I've never had to come out as an adult. How are you going to handle it, Steph? Because your wife is a teacher in the district that you live in, right?
Well, we deal with this issue a lot because generally my wife isn't really out. So I mean, it's not that she's not out. She just doesn't come out and say I'm a lesbian, because she doesn't really need to in that perspective. But it's also an interesting thing because I've been under her insurance since, you know, the beginning of time, it feels like, and the district knows about us. So when I think about it from the flip side of that, and not being the scared teacher and like being the family associated with that, and just always assume that I'm the husband in theory. I mean, we just walk into my daughter's preschool classroom and we just like, hey, this is how it is. And if you're uncomfortable, that's really your problem. So I think we're going to handle it like that moving forward. But I do tend to let Adria kind of handle it in her own terms, not because of the closeted part of it. And I don't want to say closeted, but like, I feel like teachers talk to teachers differently, right? So I never really feel like I have to worry about that interaction overly. I kind of sit back, and then if that teacher does something that would either offend Adria or in some way make her feel uncomfortable, that's when I like make my presence known. So I'm going to take that approach.
We still have Diane and Kristen there. I'm not sure.
We're here. Can you hear us?
Okay.
Yeah, we
I can't see you.
I
miss your shining faces. I want to know, do you guys think if there's ever a situation where you shouldn't come out and be yourself when it comes to your kids and school?
Absolutely not.
No.
We are always ourselves. We want to show them that we're proud of who we are and our whole family.
Yeah. And you don't worry about any dangers or extra teasing or all of these things that people say are going to affect our kids if we raise them in a gay family.
We don't believe any of that. We really don't. We raise our children to believe that just be who you are, and other people that love you will accept you regardless, just to be proud of your life and your family.
Yeah.
Do you think that us as gay parents, that we prepare our children maybe for bullying a little bit earlier than straight parents, if you will? Like, I feel that I've definitely prepared Casey just by talking about families from a very early age and how they're all different and how we're all different and how we all love each other. I feel like I've kind of prepped her and really enforced that in her, that we're awesome, our family's awesome. Whereas I don't think that, you know, mom and dads are sitting there being like, yeah, mom and dads are cool. Like, I don't think that happens.
I definitely think we do. And I do it from the perspective of like race diversity, different types of families. We always talk about that, and I always find ways to like bleed it in. Like if I see grandparents raising a kid, or if I notice there's like a single mom commercial or something, or if like there's somebody like from a different race disparity, like if you see that in a group, I always kind of just like, oh, look at that little boy or whatever, just because I'm just trying to feel it out and trying to make sure that if there is going to be that moment, that I'm going to use it as a teachable moment for my kids to just be like, whoa, everybody's the same. But because right now she still sees us as the same generally.
We just had a talk this morning with our 9-year-old autistic son, who is biracial and who is doing great in school. And we feel that we've sheltered him a lot because of his autism and stuff about the world.
Yeah.
So with Kristen being pregnant, we had a talk about how babies come about and why mom and mommy have a baby and have you guys. And we tell him all just today, actually, and told him about bullying and how it's not okay. And some people may bully him because his younger siblings are a lot darker skinned than he has.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked at us and he's like, what's black and white?
He was
Like, he had
completely
no
confused.
idea that there's color in the world.
Yeah.
I love that. I
So
love
we
that.
have to have that talk because of everything going on.
Wow, isn't that a commentary on kids and society? That,
Right?
you
He
know?
had no idea. We had a talk because if we're reprimanding children, he laughs because he thinks it's funny when other kids get in trouble.
Yeah.
And if he sees in the news where they have all these videos of these shootings, and he thought it was funny that he hears from another room heard a cop say, "Put your hands up." And we said, "Listen, it's not funny. You can't do that. That's bullying. That's making fun of people. We don't make fun of you because you're autistic or you have two moms." He goes,
Yeah.
"No, because that would upset me." Of course. So we have to tell him what bullying is and why for all different dimensions in our life.
It was a really sad conversation.
Aw. Kristen's like, thanks for bringing that up, Diane. I didn't want to.
But I don't
I
doubt you guys
made him
felt like
cry
you made the
and
right
he was
choice.
behind him like, oh no.
Here's a question for you, Lori. Do you think it's harder to come out professionally in a career that is based around kids and some of those outdated, well, never dated societal fears? And how do we fight back against that if that is still part of the equation?
Well, I think I fight back against it by kind of just ignoring it and going about my normal life. I mean, you know, we talked about being a teacher, and every single year, if you're going to come out, you have to come out every single year to your new group of kids. And it doesn't really work that way for me because it comes out kind of organically in conversation with the kids. Like, if I'm teaching a piece of literature and I would normally relate it to my life in some way, I might casually say, and for years I said partner. I would say, oh, my partner, because it was safer and it was gender neutral, and the kids didn't really, some of them pick up on what I was saying, and some of them did, and some of them would be like, ask me after class, by partner, do you mean you have a wife? And it was, and then I realized, okay, well, maybe I need to just, grow a pair here and sort of just, start using the word wife. And as soon as I got used to using the word wife, then now we're heading to it. We're getting divorced. We're going through a divorce right now. So now I've got to get used to saying ex-wife. And that's a whole other, it's just like, it's a whole other realm. So now it's more complicated.
It makes you feel better in the right situation. Ex-wife sounds real good, rolls off the tongue nicely.
It really does.
Nicely. Yeah.
Am I the only one without an ex-wife?
What's that?
Am I the only one on the panel without an ex-wife or husband?
No, we don't have an ex-wife or husband.
Oh my God! I thought I was by myself.
Well, you guys are going to win the after show for sure now. Yeah. Amanda.
Oh, I don't know. I have some good questions.
Oh, I can't wait. I
Got
can't
some
wait.
good answers.
I can't wait.
Amanda's keeping score. I've been buttering up to her all day.
Amanda, I know that you homeschool, so it's hard for you to maybe, chime in on the coming out to the teachers or whatever. But another part of the equation is coming out in the playgrounds, coming out in all things.
Honestly, this whole topic is super sensitive because it actually was in the Gay Parenting magazine. They interviewed me because I was a homeschooling mom and I was homeschooling in the co-op as a teacher. And as soon as I came out on social media, I was kicked out. I was pushed out, and I was the administrative director there. So our entire community that I was a part of at the library. So this is I'm trying to hold back tears and not get too involved because this literally impacted me greatly, and our kids, we lost everybody. So I don't think that it is, whether you're public school or homeschool or what, I mean, for us, it was just really hard. And
I knew it was fresh, and I was trying really hard not to bring it up unless you did. So if you need to cry now, we're okay with that.
No, I mean, it's only fresh because the article came out, although that was done months ago. And so, people are starting to see it, and they're like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe that, you came out to them and they shoved you out.
Yeah.
But
how do people get a hold of that article, Amanda? How do people, if they want to know
actually go to, you can find Gay Parenting Magazine on Facebook. You'll see it. If you scroll down, you'll see the picture of me there. along with my girlfriend. Or you can go to gayparentingmagazine.com, and we are the, what do they call those? Like, the magazine is 108 is what it is. And we're on the front where it says Homeschooling Mom Comes Out. And
we have it on the Qualk Show's Facebook page.
okay, so you guys can read it there. But yeah, it's very, whether you're in public school or homeschool or not, for me, I love hearing your guys' stories that it was a positive experience for you.
Yeah.
Moving forward, I'm exactly who I am. I will come out to whoever, and I'm not going to come out. I'm just going to be like, this is, if, my partner, and I can't say wife yet. Okay.
That's so easy.
But yeah, and so I know that I was trying to be quiet and be patient because I wanted them to be able to speak.
Yeah. And that, I would love if you wanted to talk a little bit more about that experience or what you're comfortable with. But if you don't want to, in specific, I kind of was getting at the point that we kind of have to come out wherever we go, in the playgrounds, at the grocery store. And I know where you live might be different than where Kristen and Diane live, and it might be different than where Hallie lives as far as the reactions that you get when you're on the playground. Have you had any negative experiences?
Yes. We do not like to go to the library here. We do not like to go. My kids went from going and doing activities in our community 5 days a week to leaving the house maybe twice a month.
Wow.
So, I mean, major. So they're all like, Mom, we need to get out and go do things. So, and Carol, Elizabeth and I are very similar to you. We don't need to come out, and I'm sure with Diana, Kristen, you guys don't need to come out. You look gay. Like, like you people.
Well, you don't, Kristen, but
No. They don't know until I'm sitting next to her.
Kristen and Elizabeth all look like they were kidnapped.
yeah. They're all against their will. Calling them gay.
But we don't actually, I don't do the come out because people see us and they're like, and they'll give us nasty looks or, walk off. And thankfully, like Hallie, which I wish I would have done this early on, but even before I came out, I kind of, I guess, damper the kids, or I guess I'll give them a little bumper pad on how to be open because I knew eventually I was going to have to come out to them.
Yeah.
And so now they are more accepting and they love diversity.
It's a good thing that I'd get beat up every day. Like, I pity the fool who's giving my family dirty looks, who's calling me out, who's like doing all this stuff. Like, oh my God, I would lose my mind. I mean, okay, I know you have to set a good example for your kids and all this stuff, but wow, that's tough. Like, I am so protective of my girlfriend, let alone my baby. Like, I'm so lucky that I live in a place where, I don't have to worry about it, even though I'm not in the biggest city in Canada. The old people look at me and stuff because it's a retirement town, but you got to take into consideration that they've never even seen, a tattooed lesbian family walking down the street in front of them, so you got to give them a little bit of time to adjust. But, have you had any negative experiences, Diane and Kristen?
Yes. Outside of schooling, we're not talking about schooling, but we're talking about in general, walking in public.
Yeah, during the grocery store.
Whoa, when you see me walking in a mall holding a 4-year-old dark-skinned girl's hand, they're like, okay, what is she? Is she a caretaker? We were asked at dinner. We were asked at dinner one night if we were a daycare.
What's a daycare?
It was
a daycare, like
a daycare.
Daycare too. But we've had, even with DeAndre, who's autistic, and in the beginning it was a little obvious that he was autistic. Yeah. When he was younger, he'd make do functions and things and noises, and we were out to dinner, and some woman was laughing, kind of looking and staring at him, and Chris is like, do I need to go tell her? Do I need to go tell her stop? I'm like,
I'm very overprotective.
Relax.
Oh, I feel you.
I would be too.
But yeah, we get the looks. We get the looks constantly because of us too, and then our children obviously don't look anything like us.
If I'm out in public by myself and I have our 2-year-old daughter, who I normally always have because the other ones are in school, I always get looked because she's not my color. And then I always get asked, where's her daddy?
Yeah.
Is her daddy at work? And that's a good question. That's a really good question to answer.
So how do you do it though? When you're the doctor's doing it?
Yeah.
She doesn't have a daddy. She has 2 mommies.
Yeah. And what's the reaction usually when you say that?
Well, doesn't she need a daddy? And I was like, no, she doesn't need a daddy. She needs 2 mommies. She has a mom and a mommy, and that's all she needs.
And I love that. And it's actually, I mean, us visually looking gays, whatever that is, have already kind of started setting that precedent. But it's so wonderful when our girlfriends who aren't, as you said, so visible are reinforcing that everywhere they go. No, listen, I actually have a partner at home. Yeah, she's a woman. These are our kids. Nicole does the same thing. And it's always kind of a surprise to me how good that makes me feel every time. She's like, oh, and I told them, no, she has 2 moms and all this stuff. You know, it's great, the way that the world is changing.
Well, we used to pretend, Adrian and I, that like somebody would say it and be like, oh yeah, our husband, and we move on. But Riley holds them accountable. So my 4-year-old at the grocery store had said to the woman, we had shared this before, she said, you know, you must get your eyes from your daddy. And she goes, I actually have a mommy and a mama. And she was very specific about it. And so Adrian was already like going in her mind, oh my God, how do I parent? And then Riley parented for her and she went, oh.
Casey did that after our divorce at the daycare at lunchtime. It was hilarious.
Definitely your daughter, Steph. Definitely your daughter.
Oh, you're spicy. I like her. You can stay.
You know what? This half hour always passes so fast, and thank you so much to the guests that we had on tonight, Diane and Kristen, Lori, because shedding light on all different aspects and the different corners of this fascinating topic that's near and dear to all of our hearts, because this is a parenting talk show. I want to thank all of the viewers out there for tuning in to the live portion of our show. If you're having fun, which I know you are, and you want to have your say, and you want to have way more fun, make sure that you are an exclusive walkie-talkie member, part of our team, and we will see you on the other half for the not-so-newlywed game and so much more. If you are leaving us, cheers. Tune in next week as we are going to have the amazing and popular Candace Green from the YouTube channel The Barretts back to talk about co-parenting during a divorce and so much more. Now grab your coffees or your cocktails, and we'll meet you in the Qualky Talkie members-only area for the second half of the Qualk Show. On the other half.